TNKR Media.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Salt Lake Podcast. David McMillan, Lesley Chesterman. Just some housekeeping, I guess, to do this week. Some country update stuff. And I want to know about your week. You're going to tell me about yours. And then I guess we'll just digress into musings and ramblings from there, I figure. What do you think?
And grilling. We want to talk about grilling.
Is it grilling season? It is.
It's grilling season.
I felt like grilling a lot last week, but it rained every damn day.
Yeah.
And it was gray. And I didn't really satisfy that itch yet. So I've got a neighbor coming over on Saturday night and his kids, and my kids will be here at the farm, and we're going to put on a grilling extravaganza. I've got some shoulder. I've got some shanks, even some pork shanks. I think I'm going to throw together some skinless sausages. I just recently went to a Croatian restaurant in New York City.
Skinless sausages, don't they come apart on the barbecue?
No, they're kind of bind together because of the so basically it's the sausage grind, and then you remove half, let's say 2 pounds of sausage grind, remove 1 pound of sausage grind, and then put that into the blender and then pulse it, emulsify it a little bit. You can add maybe like an egg white to the pound and a little bit of breadcrumb if you want or not. Right. And then you assemble both of the sausage grinds together again. So the extra emulsified sausage grind with the sausage grind, of course, seasoning, and you just kind of form them into little finger-like sausages for grilling.
Right.
Really good, actually. So I ate those. I'll be doing those on Saturday, and I will go by the abattoir. We have an abattoir not too far from here, and I'll drive by and see if I can find something special.
But also, what have you been up to? I know you've been on your tractor most of the time this week.
Yeah, so it's a big week. It rained a lot last week. We finished, we were a little bit behind in the vineyard, so we finished. I'm embarrassed to say because it's so late in the season. We finished pruning the last rows near the forest, finished tying everything down, and then we were waiting for a window to spray, to apply chemical. We're organic here, but in organic viticulture, we do, spray some antifungal organic powders such as, sulfur and copper. So when it rains this much, we kind of start worrying about fungal pressure in the vineyard. And, so.
Fungal pressure.
Yeah. So vinifera, if you think like Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, like all the grapes that we're accustomed to drinking, are kind of inbred a little bit, right? These are vines that are propagated and propagated and propagated, and the whole planet is planted with Chardonnay and Pinot Noir and Pinot Gris, Gewürztraminer. So as wonderful as those wines are, they are quite sensitive to disease, right? They love being in dry, hot environments that's fungal free. So in places like this, or places where it rains a lot, like, British Columbia, Oregon, Vancouver Island, even Nova Scotia, even Ontario, to a certain point, we do have fungal pressure. And what we're fighting against mostly to bring in really good grapes, you have to fight off downy mildew and powdery mildew, because those two diseases, on top of a plethora of other things, but we're always fighting those two diseases ultimately, right? So
that's not just here in Canada; it's all winemakers, isn't it?
Oh, of course, yeah, everywhere on the planet. Some plants with hybrid grapes, there's still that pressure as well, but a lot less. The hybrid grapes are a lot stronger, more rustic. They're less sensitive to the weather, to the cold. But surprise, surprise, my vinifera vineyard looks really good, and we finished spraying it yesterday. So I went into the hybrid vineyard this morning for a walk with my viticulturalist Emerson, and the deer got in, so the deer are like eating some of the tender heads, the new growth on the smaller vines. We just see like their little deer teeth, just they're cruel. They just top the vine. So it's a real downer. Right. So this whole world goes on in the middle of the night here at the farm. Right.
Electric fence. No.
Yeah. But it's 5 hectares.
A lot of fence.
Yeah, it's a lot of fence. And then the fence, it won't work when the grass grows into it or the weeds grow into it. So it's just another thing to maintain. Like if I electric fence the whole vineyard, first, it wouldn't be so pretty. It wouldn't be so bucolic. And it's just another damn thing I have to take care of that's not so fun and not so sexy, right? Like,
Would lend you my dog. I mean,
well, if I wasn't allergic, I'd have a couple of mangy dogs in the vineyard.
scare them away.
Yeah, that works.
Right.
But even the dogs take a nap, and the deer here are out of control. Like the government's got to do something at one point, right? We're really in a, I count 60 sometimes in the field across the road, like not 30, which is a lot. 15 is an impressive number of deer to see in a viewing, but 60, it's out of control. If you actually walk into the forest, on the other side of the road where the majority of the deer are coming out of, the forest is completely destroyed, right? It's not, the resources managed poorly. The forest is just completely shredded. You visually, what a healthy forest looks like. And when you walk into an overpopulated deer forest, you just see the carnage. Like they're eating the bark off the trees. Like they're starving, right?
Right. And in the field, they're looking at you laughing. They're saying, we're just waiting to cross the street, David. We're just waiting.
Oh, they're dumb, man. They're so dumb, but they're not that clever.
Right.
I think the birds are smarter than them. I'll say this year though, what an amazing, we're bird sanctuary down here in Saint Armand. So the birds are just nuts. It's like, I can't even believe it. Every day I feel blessed to I see weird bird things every day. Now those little yellow chardonnerets are out. I see the orioles, blue jays. There's a couple of eagles fly between my vineyard and my neighbor's vineyard.
Do you notice the blue jays are the bullies of the bird population?
Yeah, they're not loved.
Awful. They bully away the little chardonnerets. What are they called in English? Are they finches? Are they yellow finches? I think
maybe. I don't know. I don't know my bird names very well.
Well, it's something to look into. But the bird watching, it's interesting. Years ago, I used to do a radio show, and the head bird watching man, this man called Pierre Gingras, was on the radio with us. And I think for 10 years sitting next to him, I heard about every single kind of bird. And there's some great bird feeder shops in Montreal. And I got all this for my kids for Christmas. And we looked at the birds and we found all the rare birds in the Laurentians. It's fun. It's like you laugh at this kind of thing. And then next thing you know, you're obsessed with looking for that, red-headed woodpecker that's so rare to see or whatever. It's fun. It's fun.
My buddy's got a dog and it's a bird dog. I forget the name. It's a French something or whatever. And it's a beautiful animal, just gorgeous to look at. It's called Lalou. And the birds are smarter than that dog. I swear to God, that dog must have this brain the size of a pea, because when the dog comes here to the farm, there's a big wood pile there that it's supposed to burn at one point. And there seems to be some birds nesting in it, but the birds fly in and out of it. And they fly to the picnic table, and the dog runs to the picnic table. The birds fly back to the wood pile. And it's just you look at the interaction that's going on with the bird and the dog, and you see that the bird has the upper hand here. That's that bird is light years smarter than that dog. It's funny.
Well, crows are totally brilliant. A friend of mine in California, whenever she walks her dog, these three same crows follow her everywhere she goes, and they bring her little shiny objects on her fence.
Yeah, I had a crow last year. It had a damaged wing, and I tried to nurse it back to health. And I had this whole fantasy built up in my head that I was going to be that guy now who has a crow. And
maybe a raven is more your speed.
it was a big thing. Mm-hmm. So I built it a little house next to the barn and gave it, there's always fresh water, and I was putting food there, and I Googled what they eat and stuff like that. And they basically just eat steak or meat, right? And the wing wasn't healing, and I couldn't really grab it. And I thought to bring it to Berger Blanc or whatever. I called a couple of places, and once people said, yeah, bring it to us, but it was 6 hours away. So I was like, I'm not doing that. I figured that eventually, it might heal itself. And one night a fox got it.
Oh, well.
Yeah. I got a rabbit now. I told you about that.
Yeah, well, I saw that you posted a picture of the rabbit's new designer hutch on your Instagram page.
Yes.
Did you build that?
My neighbor Pete built it. Yeah, he built it.
That rabbit has it pretty good.
Yes. It's a very nice setup for a rabbit.
Don't get two.
It's got a cedar roofed house.
Couldn't believe it. Yeah.
And now it has a little gazebo pergola, and it's safe at night from raccoons. I even put a motion detector light on top of it. So if anything comes close to the cage in the middle of the night, the light goes off and hopefully spooks them. Oh my God. And I do leave my window open in my bedroom just to hear, if there's going to be any coyote action or or anything like that.
Right. You could get is it a male or female rabbit?
I don't know how to tell. I haven't. And whenever I like, my daughters can pick it up for some reason.
They bite.
When I try to pick it up, it tries to bite me or it tries to like, claw me or something like that with his hind legs. So
Right.
I gave up trying to pick it up, but I've been feeding it a lot. And they say you're not supposed to feed rabbits carrots, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard because I thought that's all they ate is carrots.
Yeah. I had a rabbit who wouldn't eat carrots. They seem to really like celery leaves and cabbage and lettuce, but my rabbit would not touch a carrot.
This rabbit won't eat cabbage, celery, lettuce. I've got beautiful lovage growing. It only wants to eat carrots and these horrific pellets.
Yeah.
But, I realized through feeding this rabbit that, and then, I have chickens and feeding the chickens, rabbit meat is like far superior. Think about just the animal itself and what it eats. That's a pretty clean diet for something, that you can eat. And then you think about basically the slaughter process of a chicken. We slaughter chickens. The cross-contamination risk is ridiculously high, right? Of course, we're dealing with salmonella. We're dealing with, the innards. We're dealing with, temperature, because we immerse the birds in very hot water to be able to pluck their feathers, and just the whole act of plucking a chicken is quite labor intensive and kind of nasty, to be honest. Whereas the slaughter of a rabbit is quite clean and and easy, quick, and the diet of the rabbit basically makes me think that it's a higher quality, animal of that size, right? When I think of, roasting a rabbit or roasting a chicken, it's kind of the same thing. I'll enjoy a dinner of both, which, makes me wonder why we don't eat more rabbit, right?
Well, it's the stigma because people will not eat rabbit. I saw a kooky little clip of this new show with Martha Stewart and Jose Andres, and there were chefs in the States talking about how people will not eat duck, will not eat squab. They send it back.
Oh, the U.S. is ridiculous, honestly, when it comes to that. Well, these magnificent chefs and magnificent restaurants with, multi-million-dollar gorgeous palaces, incredible service, encyclopedic wine lists. But if you really dig deep, right, or you just analyze, the top 20 American restaurant menus, they eat very, very restrained proteins.
Yeah.
It's beef, chicken, veal is becoming, difficult to find. It's not a giant lamb thing. They don't eat an enormous amount of lambs. They do eat an enormous amount of pork, but then it stops there. This is not a society that eats offal. They're very, very difficult to find a rabbit, even in Manhattan. If we were in Manhattan and said, let's go have a rabbit for lunch, it's almost impossible, right?
Right.
And duck, I would say as well, unless it's treated like a steak and the skin is very crispy, or the meat is pureed and stuffed into a cappellacci or a ravioli. You don't find a rare duck for two. And then don't get me started on liver, kidney, and of course rabbit.
Right.
Talking about rabbit and going back to what we were talking about before. Last year, I grilled a fair amount of rabbit, right? I don't know if you remember, but I worked briefly at a restaurant on Saint Denis Street, La Cigale. Do you remember that with young Nicolas Jongleur?
Of course, I remember it. Yeah.
There was a restaurant next door that didn't last very long, but I really enjoyed the chef who used to work there. I forgive me because I don't remember his name, but it was called Le Rital, right? It was a little Italian grill. So they did like 4 or 5 like nice, simple, classic pastas. Very, very, very beautifully done. And then he basically grilled a little bit of veal, and he also did this basket grilled rabbit. So, a couple of years ago, I bought different grilling baskets. Now, do you understand what I'm talking about when I talk about the grilling basket?
Is it like what they have at Milos for the fish?
Right, exactly. So there's the fish basket, right? But then there's a larger square one, which, if you butterfly or open up a chicken, will basically fit a whole chicken. Some of them are Teflon coated. I would beware of those ones a little bit. Maybe.
Yeah, that's actually what they use in Portuguese restaurants. Like Ma Poule Mouillée, it's all those baskets rotating over a fire pit.
Amazing.
So for people to know, just that we could explain, it's like 2 cooling racks that are stuck together and clipped together so that the meat is exposed on either side.
Yeah, and it's fun because you have a handle basically on the basket, and you can keep on moving it from the hot place on your grill to the cooler place on your grill. And when you're grilling, like it's really important that you have like a very hot area of the grill. I always pile a lot of charcoal, let's say on a Weber. Like I love an inexpensive Weber kettle barbecue. If you watch the specials, sometimes you can find one for $100, $125 at a Canadian Tire or whatever. And it's kind of a disposable barbecue. I hate barbecues for that reason. They're all somewhat disposable. You know, they're not made to last 4 years or 5 years, even the expensive ones. So
David, I would suggest, so if you're going to get a Weber's, to maybe invest a little more and get the one that has a little counter on it, because it's a little more stable. I know what you mean. I also have a Weber, but I always get the one, it comes with a little counter attached. I wouldn't even bother with the gas starter one, but just because it actually lasts longer and there's less chance of it falling over when, some kid bikes by or something. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Go on. Sorry.
So I like to cut the shoulder, like let's say the two shoulders off the rabbit, like 2 rabbit wings or chicken wings, but it's like rabbit. And I'll put them inside of the basket, like to say on the left. And then I'll take the 2 loins off the rabbit. I'll bone it out, and then I'll roll the loins with the belly and maybe a little slice of bacon or prosciutto. Or I've been really into, and check it out if you see it at your grocery store, it's basically the raw bacon, the uncured, unsalted, unsmoked, sliced, a little bit thicker than bacon, pork belly. I've noticed it's more and more in grocery stores.
They also have that at Boucherie Laurence, the Larry's butcher shop. And one thing about that, though, is I bought it once and it doesn't last as long as bacon. So use it pretty fast because I think mine molded eventually.
Yeah, I would say use it within 2 days. Absolutely.
Right.
But it's nice because it's quite fatty. So if you roll it inside of the belly and the loin of like let's say a rabbit, it's quite good. You can now seal it shut with a couple of toothpicks or a metal skewer. I suggest the metal skewer, not the toothpicks when you're grilling. Apologies. And or a little bit of fatty sausage meat when you're rolling that loin. And as far as the legs go, I remove that hip bone, right? And take your meat mallet and smash the rabbit leg down a little bit. So it's as thick as the loin.
Right.
Right. A little bit. Right. So when you get the 2 legs, the 2 loins, and the 2 shoulders inside of your basket with a generous amount of olive oil and lemon and
herbs.
Yeah. Thyme. I like a little bit, not much. And honestly, I prefer adding like herb oils or herbs at the end now, somewhat, because, you can burn a little bit of rosemary there. You can burn a little bit of pepper. I feel like grilling with salt is possibly a better idea. And then finishing with herbs and oil is great. So anyway, they used to do like this little flat rabbit basically on the charcoal there at this Rital restaurant. And, they'd bring it to medium well, but the upper side of medium well, so juicy but still
because it can get really dry rabbit.
Yeah, exactly, especially when you're grilling it, so you have to pay attention. But it's not like chicken where I'm worried of like a little bit of pink in the thigh of a chicken. It freaks me out a little bit just because of the salmonella scare and all that stuff. It's always present in my mind when I'm grilling chicken. Whereas rabbit, I can tolerate just a juicy pink, right? It doesn't scare me, again, because I understand the slaughtering process. I understand the diet. So I'm a lot less worried about it. So I love grilling in baskets. So if you have 2 baskets, you have one with your animal protein and you have one with your vegetables. Grilling vegetables in the basket is super fun as well.
That you could ask your butcher to bone out the rabbit too. That's maybe something that is harder for people to do or not too sure. Is it hard to bone out a rabbit?
It's actually quite easy. If you give it a shot. The trickier part would be removing the hip bone of the top of the rabbit leg, and then do you hear that rooster going crazy?
I heard the rooster.
Yeah. We have 2 new chickens. My neighbor Pete brought over 2 black marrons. These French chickens are actually quite beautiful. I'll send you a picture later. Because they're just not getting along with his.
Mm.
So he brought them here, and now
Are they getting along with your? What?
no. So I think he just he transferred his problem to me.
Right.
It seems, but I'll say nothing.
That's why we heard the rooster in the background. There's a war going on, chicken fight.
It's funny.
So that's fun. It's true about the rabbit is that, but I at this point I'd be afraid to serve rabbit to people for that same reason that it would have to be really adventurous friends because I know there would be people, even grown-ups. I always think it's kids who say no to stuff, but grown-ups who would be like, "Oh, it's rabbit, no thanks," and I'd be like, "Look, taste it or whatever." But I was at a dinner the other night and they served elk at this really good restaurant called Molène, this new restaurant on St. Lawrence. The main course was elk. And there were a lot of people who left it in the plate.
That's ridiculous. That's one of the greatest meats in the world.
It's so rare to eat it in a restaurant too, right? Because it's a farm-raised elk. And I think I'd had it one other time and it's got a little bit more of an iron taste, but it's not like seal. It's not intense. It's not even as intense as liver. And I thought it was great. It was perfectly cooked. And there are people like, I just can't do it.
I worry very much about that stuff. It's ridiculous. Even, in the span of my career, I look back so fondly on my early days in the restaurant business when I was working, especially, at Le Caveau behind McCord Museum. I still, I'm shocked at how it's I've said this before. I might have said it here in this podcast, but it still astounds me that like one of the best restaurants I've ever worked in my life was like the first restaurant I ever worked in my life. Mm. And it wasn't the best because of the skill or anything. It was like, but it was that famous poster of the cartoon poster of the French kitchen brigade.
Yes.
That's a very famous picture. You can post it on the Instagram. I'll send you
Is it like a cartoon?
Yes, exactly. With the crazy chef and everybody's running in the kitchen. It's a great picture.
We use that on the cover of my first restaurant guide and we could never find who to credit to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I don't know who did that, but it's famous, that poster. Yeah.
But that restaurant that I worked at, Le Caveau, in those days was exactly like that. But, and I always think of like the such varied amount of protein that we cooked in that restaurant. It was really la vraie cuisine du marché. Like we got in 10 livers at a time. We'd get in like 60 pounds of brains. We'd get in lamb livers would be on special. We did the real lamb mixed grill sometimes at lunch, a piece of
lamb sweetbreads are so delicious.
Yeah. But on a plate, you'd get a lamb sweetbread, a lamb chop, a piece of filet, a nice slice of grilled liver, and a kidney, right? With a side of vegetables. And there'd be a little mustard jus, mustard jus, and there'd be all, because they used to laugh about it, but they'd all put a little bit of mint sauce on the side pour les Anglais, for the Anglos, right? Which is hilarious. And it was always constant. Horse meat, I remember once there, and it's the only time I ever cooked it in my career. We got a box of bull tenderloins, du taureau.
I thought you were going to say testicles.
No,
okay. Tenderloin. Okay. Yeah.
So, and I read about it later on in my life, and it's like quite a specialty in Spain and south of France where they have bullfighting, right? Eating the bull is supposed to be something special. And I was like, you know what? I realized that in my career, I've cooked bull once. And that was that. It was there. But for them, it was just like, in and out. And we cook everything that comes in the door and it goes out into the dining room. And it was a very special restaurant. I miss it terribly.
I had bull at a restaurant in Châteauneuf-du-Pape, of all places. And I remember it being quite different, just a little stronger tasting. Actually, not too far from that elk, to come to think of it. It was a little bit like that. But the thing that's amazing to me, too, about what you're saying is that I can understand when people don't like, some barnacles, or I can understand when people don't like gooey duck clam or all this stuff. I can understand with some of the funkier seafood that people freak out, But really, if you're handed something like elk, which is really one step away from filet mignon, when you think about it, like it's beef, it's like beef. It's that people are just like, oh, I can't. I wonder if they had said this is beef, if everybody would have eaten it.
Yes, they would have. That's the funny thing.
Was it the idea that it was elk? And do they even know what an elk is or what it looks like? Or is it because they really didn't like the taste? You see, so there's that whole cycle back with the rabbit. If you tell people, oh, this is, I don't know, rabbit maybe is a little bit similar to kind of veal in a way. more so than chicken, I think.
I think the dining public ultimately is just lesser than it was, sadly.
Well, 20 years ago, I did a story on what people order in restaurants and what they don't. And most chefs told me that you can put guinea hen on the menu, but nobody will order it.
Yeah, that's changed a bit, I figure, but
and guinea hen is so great. I mean, it's so, for anybody saying they don't like guinea hen,
you're nuts. It's the best of the birds.
What's that?
Yeah.
It's better than chicken in many ways. If it's properly cooked, it's like velvet. It's just beautiful. Yeah.
I remember when Joe Beef started getting famous with tourism, we could pretty much cook whatever we wanted for a long, long time in that restaurant. We could do like scallops with blood sausage, whatever, and sell it. And I think when, the Americans started writing articles and we became a restaurant that Americans go to or tourists go to, we had to get rid of like all the fun things. Right.
Yeah, right.
There's like no more quail, no more liver, no more rabbit. And I'd be like telling the chefs.
What about foie gras? Foie gras, they wanted that.
That's that one weird exemption. Like, and also let me get you going. Don't get me going on foie gras and Americans. I love foie gras. Like, I love it. It's fantastic.
You also love Americans, by the way.
No, I do. I love America. I do.
Yeah, you do. You do.
I'm a fan. And, but foie gras for me is, I don't know. I eat it between December 14th and maybe January 1st is the last day that I have it.
Right.
Right. It's a Christmas, New Year's thing.
Special occasion. Yeah.
Right. The end.
It is. It really is.
And it's like, and all of a sudden, the tourist clientele discovers foie gras. And I'm like, Jesus, it's like 36 degrees outside. It's insane. It must be like 50 degrees in the kitchen.
Right.
And we're selling foie gras like so much and so much and so much. And like, it's ridiculous. Like, who eats foie gras in July or August? Like, it's just,
Also, having visited a foie gras farm in the fall on a very hot day, a lot of people, foie gras is almost a whole podcast on its own, but when the weather is hot, it is harder on the ducks. It is. They literally at the end of their lives, the end of 35 days of gavage, of force feeding, and something like that. They're panting. Their little tongues are out and they're panting. I would almost say, having foie gras should almost not be done in the summer because it is harder on the farm. I mean, it's a business. They've got to do their thing. But for anybody who worries about that kind of situation, it is harder on the ducks in the summer, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure it is.
It's hot. I don't think you'd want to be force fed in August as opposed to, December when it's a little cooler for them. But I agree with you. Foie gras really is something I only have for the holidays at Christmas time, like the French. The French, it's very rare to go somewhere in France in a family and they're not serving you a block of foie gras at Christmas time, usually out of a can or a mason jar, right? It's not, they might make it themselves.
I love it. I love the canned foie gras.
Yeah, they slice open the can and they give you a slice of it. And then if you go to a fancier family, there may be some truffles in the foie gras and they'll pour you a glass of Sauternes or Montbazillac and that's Christmas, Then they'll serve you some scallops, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to take a turn though, but I want to, you mentioned to me you were making nut butters.
Yeah, I do this show on Radio Canada, which for people who don't know, it's like our NPR, our BBC, our national radio. And I do a show there. I started doing this for a year where they asked me to test things out. And at first I'm like, oh, Jesus. But now I love testing things out because, you get so stuck in your ways and you have all these beliefs in cooking. And so I realized that in our house, we eat tons of peanut butter. Do you eat tons of peanut butter? I mean, everybody in this house eats peanut butter. I try to have it every day for the protein, blah, blah, blah. But like everything, I've gotten extremely picky about peanut butter. I mean, I grew up eating Kraft or Skippy peanut butter and it just tastes like nothing. And it's sweet and it's probably full of hydrogenated vegetable oil or something. So I got into this really cool peanut butter called Maranatha, which is, I used to buy it in Vancouver and bring it back to Montreal. You can find it here now. It's $10 a jar. So I'm like, screw it. I'm going to start making peanut butter just to save money. If you buy the best peanuts and make it yourself, you're paying half as much than if you buy it. And all you have to do is take out your Cuisinart, put 3 cups of salted, good quality roasted peanuts in there, let it turn for about 5 to 7 minutes, and you have the best peanut butter in the world.
You don't have to add oil or anything?
Well, when I first started doing it, I was adding oil, and no, you don't. You just have to let it keep going a long, 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 long time. And then at first, I'm adding maple syrup. I'm adding more salt. Don't do anything.
Have you had the Haitian peanut butter people love?
Yeah, I have. I'm not wild about the spicy peanut butter myself. I think that's a bit of an acquired taste. I tried them all. I tested them all years ago, and yeah, not my thing. But I can understand why people like it. There's another one where you just add water. Is that it? There's.
I've never had peanut butter.
Oh, wait, are you allergic?
Yes, and it's the food of the devil. I'm kidding. No, but yes, I am allergic. So I've had it a couple of times, but like hidden inside of a cracker or something at someone's house. Yeah, so I don't eat it, but I do love the sunflower seed butter very much.
What about almond butter?
I like it less than sunflower. Right across the border here in the U.S., I go to there's a really weird Hannaford grocery store in Swanton, Vermont, and I always pick up the organic, sugarless sunflower butter, and they have a crunchy version, and it's delicious.
That sounds good.
Yeah,
you can make that too. I'm sure you just throw it in the Cuisinart and make it.
I don't have a Cuisinart. I thought that you needed like a little like a nut butter mill or an attachment or something.
You can make it with a mortar and pestle, but Jesus, I don't have that kind of time. But I tried making it in the Thermomix because as an update, we talked about the Thermomix a while ago. They still haven't asked for it back.
Yeah, at this point, it's yours. I would change my email address.
I've sent them 2 emails saying I'm ready to give it back. I've not heard back, but I'd made it. A lot of people make these things in the Thermomix, but you can make all these things with the mortar and pestle. Apparently, the best peanut butter is with the mortar and pestle. But I mean, I just do not have 12 hours to make a cup of peanut butter. But it's funny that you say you're allergic because I was making the peanut butter and I'm scraping it out of the thing, and I thought this stuff is so potent. I can imagine. You just feel, you almost feel allergic to it when you're scraping it out. It's so strong. There's something about peanut butter that's intense.
I was told that everyone is allergic to peanut butter at one point by an allergist.
Oh,
right. But at different degrees of variance. So you might be 0.01% allergic to it.
Yeah, I sensed the peanut butter. I felt like I was going to break out into hives. It's strong stuff. It's strong stuff. But I really recommend to everybody who eats a lot of peanut butter, make it yourself. I still can't get over that you don't have a Cuisinart.
Also, how is it a nut, first of all?
It's not a nut, right?
Exactly. So why do we call it a nut?
Well, somebody along the way. Have you ever had boiled peanuts on the side of the road in the South?
No, I'm allergic.
Oh, yeah, shit. Notice how it hasn't sunk in yet. Have you ever? Yes, no, you have peanut butter cups. No, none of that. You haven't had any of that.
I've had sunflower cups, again, at the Hannaford in Swanton, Vermont. Sunflower seed cups.
You can make tahini too. I mean, you can make any of these. Do you use tahini? When do you ever?
I do. I use tahini a lot. I make vinaigrettes with tahini.
Yeah.
And I also, back to grilling, I love taking a spoonful of tahini and a little bit more olive oil, the juice of 1 lemon, chopped herbs, even some capers. I'll even smush a good anchovy into that. So I'll use tahini as a base to make this beautiful finishing sauce for grilled white meats like that, whether it be pork chop chicken or rabbit, right? Tahini, and plus tahini's awesome. When it just stays in the fridge and it'll thicken a vinaigrette like nothing, like nobody's business. And what an amazing product. I wish I used it more in my career in restaurants. I never did once.
There's a Nigella Lawson recipe for grilled lamb, where she just takes tahini and you gradually mix in warm water and a little lemon, and you just serve that with the lamb.
Beautiful.
And with tahini and all these nut butters is that they're not compatible. They're like chocolate. They're 100% dry matter, so they're not compatible with water. So as soon as you start mixing water into even peanut butter, it all seizes up the way chocolate seizes up. So if you see that, just keep whisking in more. Just don't stop, and because it really does turn into a hard mass, and then it'll relax. But you have to add enough to make it relax. All of these things, as soon as you add water, they just seize up.
But even like a French vinaigrette, tahini plus mustard plus, red wine vinegar or sherry vinegar, and then olive oil into a jar and shaken, like a French vinaigrette base plus tahini is just stellar. It coats the lettuce like nothing.
And what about miso? Do you ever add miso in vinaigrette?
I do. I enjoy cooking with miso quite a lot. Miso vinaigrettes are great. The miso cured fish, like the famous Nobu. You can find the recipe. Just Google it. The miso cured black cod. Black cod is a cool fish. It's available frozen, and a lot of fishmongers frozen sections. It usually comes IQF, individually quick frozen, a little vacuum packed. Generally, the portion's quite nice for the 120-gram piece of black cod. And if you follow that little miso roasted black cod recipe from Nobu, and you can do that in your home oven under the broiler, that's a show-stopping fish recipe. I suggest people try it.
Yeah, it is, but it was done to death in restaurants. I ate that.
Sure, but not everybody gets to eat at Nobu. You know,
You're right. You're right. Okay.
that's it's a good recipe, and you know, black cod is a fish that a lot of people still haven't had.
Yes, I had that at Molen the other day, and he just seared it off, and it was beautiful
yeah.
with a little broth, and it was no miso, nothing. It was just, and I thought, oh, here we go, the gelatinous black cod. And black cod, I think, is about half the price of black bass, which costs a fortune.
Yeah.
So it's a cheaper fish. It's a cheaper fish. Well, we should take a little break and come back and get into intense grilling talk. Okay.
Yes.
Salt Lick is supported by TNKR Media, our podcasting team. As we get organized and look to the future, finding a media partner that understands us and lets us be true to ourselves is important. Dan and his team at TNKR Media specialize in media projects for experts. Podcasts like this one, but also business writing plans, public relations consulting and coaching, and even public affairs campaigns for Canadians wanting to turn their words into action. Discover how TNKR Media can help experts and their organizations communicate through smart, compelling content. For more, visit tnkr.ca. TNKR Media. Make your own news.
Okay, so here we're back. We're talking a little bit about grilling rabbits and baskets and this and that, but now let's get into it. I have a lot of grills, Lesley.
Yeah, I would imagine that you'd be a guy with a lot of grills.
So I have a Smoker Joe offset smoker, which is like an offset smoker, but I also use it as a grill. I have about 3 Webers, 3 different sizes. I even have the little portable Weber that I can put in the back of the truck and bring to like camping or the beach. I've got a larger Weber kettle, which I love. And but generally, you know,
Wait, do you have a green egg?
I don't have a green egg. I have
I don't have a green egg either, but I want a green egg.
I have a black one.
Oh, you have a black egg?
Yeah, I have a black one called I forget. I think it's called Primo or something like that. I bought it in Ontario. It's amazing. Honestly, I love it. What I love about the egg is it gets the temperature really well, holds temperature really well. But the best thing about it is that you can close all the dampers once you're done grilling, and the charcoal just extinguishes itself.
Oh, no oxygen. So
yeah, so it goes dormant, which means that the next day or a week later, I can just light up that same charcoal again.
You're not wasting your charcoal.
You're not. You know. Whereas in the Weber, it'll just go to straight dust and you're done. But you know, it's like saving the charcoal for like I'll get sometimes 3 burns out of the Primo full of or out of the egg full of charcoal. It's quite neat. Plus, I think that the egg is, if you're going to do some baking, like a crostata or even like a pie or a kind of like I do these like weird like kind of quesadilla things in there, whatever. But you could do pizza. You know, most of these eggs come with the pizza stone, and that's quite cool. And you can also, in the egg, which a lot of people don't do, is you can kind of use it as a Peking duck machine, right? You can take like a coat hanger or a metal hook that you buy at the kitchen supply store or the Chinese kitchen supply store. So you can put less charcoal in the bottom around the sides, and you can basically hang a duck
right.
by the collarbone in the middle of the egg.
Smart.
Also, you can kind of brush all the charcoal. If you remove all the metal in the grill and all that, and you start your fire, you can use it as a tandoori. You can take your dough and you can go slap it on the inside ceramic wall, and you can make your own pita bread or kind of a naan bread.
Wouldn't you be making a big mess with that duck? I mean, there's so much fat involved.
Not because you'll see the base.
The pan at the bottom, right?
Yeah, you put a little like aluminum pie plate in the bottom, and it's fine. Just remember when you do that, the duck, what's very important, one of the tricks to success with the duck is to separate. Like you do this with your hand, okay? Or you can do it with a wooden spoon. But You kind of want to cure the inside of the duck overnight with a sugar and salt mix, a bit of allspice, perhaps, right? You can Google, Peking duck rub or whatever. But the trick to the success of that dish is often people don't know. Well, a lot of people know, but some people don't know. Is you have to separate the skin from the bird. Now you can do this with a wooden spoon by sliding the wooden spoon between the breast and the meat on both sides, and you can try to get in there as well as much as you can under the leg. And then, of course, everything comes back together. But then you'll get like a better fat feeding the meat ratio, but you'll also get a more uniform, pretty bird. It's not going to shrivel or change shape according to the breast shrinkage as the meat cooks. The skin will not be in concert with the meat, right? So the skin will do its own thing and the meat will do its own thing, right? So you get it.
Don't you see them like when they blanch? But when they're making Peking duck, they're often blanching in a boiling water first, and you see that they actually sometimes blow the skin up.
Well, that's exactly. So in a professional kitchen, they have a compressor, like an air compressor, like the garage air compressor, and they'll put the little probe thing right underneath, and they'll blow the skin off the body. Sometimes you'll see at the Chinese grocery, the Peking ducks that are hanging are shriveled a little bit. That's because they've omitted that step.
Okay.
Right. So when you omit that step, you'll see that the skin is shriveled or wrinkly. Whereas if you don't omit that step, you'll have a beautiful uniform bird. Marco Frappier from Vin Mon Lapin fame used to make them at Joe Beef in our smoker. It was unbelievable. Like he used to spend a lot of time. He went down the rabbit hole properly and spent an enormous amount of time. And he was basically curing the duck to the point that it tasted like beautiful honey ham. And then he was moving the temperature up and getting this incredible crisp skin on them,
So if people want to do it at home, they just slide their hand carefully underneath between the skin and the cavity and the flesh, right?
Yeah, I suggest a wooden spoon. Just
Okay.
get a wooden spoon under there, and you can
all over, like even the back, even the legs, as much as you can.
Yeah, it's good. You can also, like we talked about on a larger Weber, right? If you put all of the you put, let's say, 2 pounds of charcoal to the left side of the Weber,
Yep.
and you leave an area in the bottom of the Weber where you can get like an aluminum pie plate down there.
Yep.
So if you did load your basket, like we were talking about before, with 2 legs and 2 breasts, you can you kind of have to have a big lemonade and really take your time. You can't just, like, when you're grilling duck, you have 100% of your attention, right? Because it's a fatty animal and you could create a pretty impressive fire, if you don't pay attention. So there's a way of like grilling duck where you're, grilling it over the hot flames and then putting it over the cooling area. So then, the fat drips into the bottom of the pan, and then you put it back over the hot till it starts sizzling again. Then you remove it again. So you keep on doing that like 30 or 40 times. Now, if you're grilling a duck for dinner for your family of 4, it's a loving thing, right? You're spending a lot of time doing this properly for the people that you love. It's a beautiful meal, brushed with honey, with sea salt in the honey.
Which will also catch fire, so be careful, right? You at the end.
Yeah, be very, very careful.
It's funny, just for people who, I know a lot of people. I mean, I don't want to be a barbecue grilling snob here, but a lot of people are opening up the big gas barbecue, barbecuing on the gas, grilling, gas. And I'll really give credit to this man called Chris Schlesinger, who wrote 3 books that are really great. One's called Grill It, the other one's called License to Grill, and the other's called, I think, The Thrill of the Grill. And he really is obsessed with people using charcoal. And it was the first time 30 years ago, I was reading these books about how, kiss it goodbye. If you really want the ultimate grilling experience, you really have to do it with charcoal, hardwood charcoal. And so these books are really good for people who want to maybe get away from the gas grill. And the second thing is, and this sounds crazy, but Weber itself puts out cookbooks. And I used to get them when I'd review cookbooks for the newspaper. And I used to just toss them in the recycling bin right away. Like, forget it. I don't want to see a Weber book. One day I pulled them out. Those books talking about how to build your fire, different kinds of 3 fire, 2 fire, exactly what David was talking about there with the aluminum pan, water on one side, grilling, hot, cold, all this stuff. I learned so much from those Weber books. So for anybody who really wants to kind of maybe change, like try it out with charcoal, you've been using gas all these years. Really, I say these books, Chris Schlesinger and Weber books are amazing.
There's also have you met him? I've met him several times in Montreal over there. Stephen Reichlen.
Stephen Reichlen. I met him in the States, but yeah.
Raichlен. Check him out. He's one of the great barbecue masters of the US. I think he has an app, multiple books, recipes, really a true master of charcoal. And you know what's fascinating about him, Lesley?
Speaks perfect French.
Perfect French. I was like, met him at the restaurant, and it wasn't even French from France French. He was pretty comfortable in speaking Quebecois French, but to a point where I was like,
well, he did a show here. He did a show in Quebec. He also had,
I think he did something with Martin Junot at one point.
And he well, of course, he was on PBS for a long time too, but he also oh shoot, I was going to say something else he did. Anyway, I can't remember, but he's really amazing. His French is perfect. He has French books that were published here in Quebec. Who knew? And also, like, the famous Canadian barbecue king is Ted Reeder.
I don't know that guy.
Ted Reeder?
No.
Big guy. Like, he's always barbecuing these things. And I've tried some of his recipes, too. And he's serious about his barbecuing. And it's such a male-dominated field. Like,
it's true, eh?
And we say this, it's kind of, well, it's like guys all have to barbecue. Like, dad's barbecuing. And I mean, I don't barbecue at home. My boyfriend does, And in fact, when I first started seeing him seriously, I'm like, let's see if he can barbecue, because if he can't, this relationship's going to go nowhere, right? And he's great on the barbecue. But why is it that the men are always doing the grilling? I mean, no offense to any women out there who are. I mean, I have sometimes too, but I'm very happy to leave it to the guys if they want to.
Yeah, boys are like ding dong. We're tractor, truck, grill. It's like such meatheads. I surprise myself, and sometimes I'm just like, oh my God, I'm such a meathead. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I'm embarrassed some days.
Well, how many grills did you say? Like at the top here, you said you had like 7 barbecues.
Yeah, I have 7 barbecue. I even built. I'll send you a picture. I have a beautiful smoker that my neighbor Pete built, which is like a cold smoker, but it's all cedar inside with multiple shelves. I can make country ham.
Wow.
I basically build it to make country ham. I made country ham a couple of times. Now, let's talk about that for a second. Have you had country ham? American country ham?
I think I have had Smithfield. You mean the real Smithfield thing with the bone-in big country ham in South Carolina? They serve it with biscuits?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I've also had other ones where it's better than prosciutto. Right here at the Hen of the Woods in Burlington, and of course the other one in Waterbury, they always have this country ham plate on the menu, and I always get it. I always order it. My girls eat it up, and I'm always fascinated how it's better than a lot of Italian prosciuttos that I've had.
Can you talk a little bit about? This. I don't want it to sound stupid, like the difference between grilling and smoking, but not that many people are smoking things at home. I know with the green egg, you can do a lot of smoking. I've done some pulled pork, which is different than grilling. So can you talk a little bit about?
I'd say there's two categories. One is called grilling, and the other one is called barbecue.
Barbecue, okay.
Yeah. So barbecue is barbecue. Barbecue is basically braising meat, right? So generally, American barbecue would be the brisket, the shoulder, the sausages,
ribs,
so on, right? It's people like waste their whole lives. Not waste. I don't say waste. It's a bad thing. No, but
dedicate is the word you're looking for.
Like I don't really love so much, to be honest. Oh God, I'm going to get in trouble for saying stuff like this. I don't super love pulled pork. Like I don't love it, and I have issues with so many of barbecue sauce. I don't like, I don't like 90% of barbecue sauces. They're cloying. They don't go well with wine. They're too sweet. I don't,
Right. This is coming from a man who sold barbecue sauce.
Yeah. But I thought, I don't know if you've ever tasted that barbecue sauce, but I thought it was really well seasoned and undersweet. It was more like a steak sauce hybrid, ultimately. like a mop sauce, right? I love grilling St. Louis style ribs. Baby back ribs is not for me. I don't think it's like a thing really, to be honest. But the St. Louis ribs, when I say St. Louis ribs, it's that bigger, those bigger ribs, right? And I like putting a little dry rub on those. And but again, whenever I do barbecue, it's like an all day process, right? I get ready on Friday. I buy everything. I clean all the meats. I season them. Some of them, so some of the stuff I brine, and uh, and then the next day it's just I can, if I'm barbecuing, I'll be barbecuing on Saturday for 4 to 6 people, six to 8 people, and I'll pretty much be in front of the smoker all day, just monitoring the heat, keeping things constant. Which brings me to another thing. Have you ever tried the Traeger barbecues, the pellet smokers?
Oh no.
Oh God, what are they? That's like AI of barbecuing. They've got probes.
That's cheating, no?
It's basically like an offset grill, but it's got a hopper on the side that you fill with wood pellets. You can buy different flavored pellets like pecan wood and maple wood and mesquite and blah blah blah. And it's got a computer and a burning element, and you can set the temperature to like 200 degrees or 205 degrees. And you have an app on your phone. So I can work in the vineyard, and then the Traeger will tell me, if I need to add pellets, what the temperature is inside the grill at all times from my app.
Okay, but David, you're the guy who doesn't even have a Cuisinart.
They gave me, I would have never bought one. I was given a Traeger by the Traeger company back when companies would give me things, right?
Right.
To try out.
And you loved it.
Yeah, it's cool. I got a really big one that was a Joe Beef, and they used it a lot, and I had a smaller one for me, and I played with it a lot. And it's a big spend, unfortunately. That's why I love Weber so much, because it's an affordable barbecue.
Yep.
You can find a Weber or the smaller kettle one for $99, sometimes $85, $75 sometimes. Whereas when you start looking at these pellet smokers or even these big green eggs, they're in the thousands of dollars now. And, I can make things just as delicious in a small portable Weber as I can in a $2,000 grill.
I look back to the 70s. Like the 70s, everybody had like your parents, your uncles, they all had those shitty little barbecues, like even a hibachi, or, it was like a round barbecue. It was about 5 inches deep with a big grill.
I love hibachis. And then they're still great.
They'd make hamburgers for like 95 kids who were there, and pork shoulder for tons of people. And, there were, no offense to the pellet thing. I mean, I'm sure it's great and everything, but it actually, at our chalet, we barbecue right over wood. We grill right over. We just make a fire and we grill. We put a grill down on it and we fire right over. It's the best. I mean, hard to beat that.
Yeah, it's good, but you have to know what you're doing there, because I see a lot of people
burn the crap out of everything.
Or they just people say, we're going to grill over wood, but they have no understanding of it really. So they're grilling over like flame.
Right.
That's not when you want to grill at all.
No.
Right. You don't want to grill over fresh wood burning and a flame. Like it makes sense in your brain, but that's not how you do it. You really have to burn wood, and create a large amount of red embers, right?
Yeah.
There should actually, when you're grilling, should be very little to no live flame or fresh wood underneath your meats.
Right.
You should always be grilling over, spent embers.
Yeah. The French call it la braise. We call it embers in English. Yeah, exactly. So you have like 3 hours to get it ready, or at least.
I've been looking for this thing. I don't know if any listeners ever see one in a store, but if they do, message me because I want to buy one. Have you ever seen, and Google it, people, the rack called cargolade? Cargolade. Cargolade. You ever seen this? You know what I'm talking about?
I haven't. I don't know what.
So it's this beautiful, it kind of looks like a cake tray or a kind of metal tray, a wire woven tray that you would serve beautiful pastries on for dessert or sandwiches on for high tea. But in fact, it's a grilling implement. It's a round. Some of them are 24 inches. Some of them are 12 inches. They usually have a handle in the middle for picking it up, and they have 4 little legs underneath. So it kind of looks like a little pastry tray, but it's made out of like metal wire. All right, all woven, and generally some of them are very beautiful, some of them less so. But what people do with that is they pack them with snails and garlic butter, right? Or snails with, ramp butter, or snails with smoked paprika butter, or, snails with even curry butter, right? So you have like, 48 snails, maybe 3 different butters in the stuffing, and all on this rack. And the rack goes basically right onto embers of your barbecue or your Weber, right? Or if you're so lucky to have a big open fireplace full of, spent redwood ember fire. There's beautiful images on Google of these cargolade grilling racks. And you can also, in that same rack, do beautiful oysters in it. You could also do beautiful shrimp in it. And you could also do, when you find them, scallops on the shell, or lobster even. I love boiling lobsters, and we'll answer that question. I have the answer to our listeners' question. But I love like undercooking a lobster, removing all the meat, and then slicing the meat in my bite-sized, pieces, putting it back inside the shell with some kind of fat, whether it be butter or oil or a mix of both, and herbs, and then grilling, finishing the lobster over wood, right? In a kind of a basket. Or my dream now is to get a couple of these escargolade or cargolade racks. They're just gorgeous.
God, that would be like the flea market find from heaven in the Parisian. There must be.
They used to have them at Arthur Quentin.
Really?
And I never put 2 and 2 together, because what they would do is they had them at Arthur Quentin, which was like a beautiful French cookware store that's near L'Express in Montreal. That's since defunct, sadly. It was a great store. But I remember they had tons of cargolade racks all over that store. But what they would do is they would,
they put china on them and they tea sandwiches and all what you were saying.
Yeah, or they would like use them as display racks for like French linen napkins or cutlery or knives. It was only years later when I saw the rack, I said, I've seen that before. They have tons of them at Arthur Quentin, but Arthur Quentin is closed.
But they're full of napkins.
So I want to talk about.
Wow, I remember that too. So you're right. I remember.
Let me answer that question you asked me about the lobster.
Yeah, we got a reader question. Really enjoying the podcast, but was disappointed that the lobster talk you never gave during your lobster talk. You never gave cooking instructions. Can you discuss what's the best way to cook them? We'll get to it eventually.
Right. Well, don't be disappointed. Okay. Everything's okay. Everything's going to be okay. So 1 pound lobster, 8 minutes. Okay. But use a lot of water and a really rolling boil. Okay. And don't crowd your pot. Right. So this is how it goes. The 1 pound lobster is 8 minutes. 1.25, one and a quarter, and 1 1/4, okay, to 1.5 pound lobster is a very common lobster that we'll see at the grocery store that's available for the general public. That's the market lobster that's available everywhere, generally when lobster's on special, when it's inexpensive at grocery stores.
For one person. You're saying pound.
Oh, the lobster weight, the weight of the lobster. Oh, you could 1 pound lobster is quite small, but that's 8 minutes in a rolling hot water bath. Don't forget, use salt in that water, more salt than you think, right? The lobster comes from ocean water. You want the water that you're boiling the lobster in to be similar to that. Many lobsters have been ruined by undersalted water, right? You say, oh, I love the lobster in Maine. It always tastes so much better because they're boiling them in seawater, all right?
Do they actually take the seawater? Does that work if you use the seawater to boil the lobster?
Absolutely, 100%. Many lobster pounds all over Maine have direct access to seawater. But remember that a 1.5 pound lobster will be 11 to 12 minutes. A 2 pound lobster will be 15 minutes. A 3 pound lobster will be 25 minutes. And a 5 pound lobster will be 35 to 40, which is a lot. It's a lot of time. So it's really stressful to cook a big lobster like that, right? Also remember this, respect lobster. A 1 pound lobster is 7 to 8 years old. When you think like, a 2 pound chicken is 6 to 8 weeks old, right? So I get offended when I see people putting barbecue sauce on lobsters and overcooking them and, slathering them in mayonnaise and putting bacon on them. It's very cool. Like, it's a very big privilege to be able to, buy lobster in an affordable fashion. In Europe, it's not affordable. A small lobster is like $50. So, when Mother's Day rolls around or Father's Day rolls around and lobster is at $7.99 a pound or $6.99 a pound or $5.99 a pound at the grocery store, it's very, very cool, actually, right? This is a wild local product. And spend a little bit of time cooking it properly. And, when you spend a little bit of time with lobster, it's quite delicious. It's my favorite food, my number one favorite food.
Once you boil it, do you take it out? Do you put it in an ice bath? What do you do once it's boiled?
No, depends what you want to do. Depends what the application generally. If you don't eat a boiled lobster, cook them, put them on a tray, drop them off on the table, make sure everything's done before. That's why corn on the cob, potato salad, all those things, watermelon, yada, 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 cover the table with food. The last thing you bring out to the table is lobsters. That's the thing. Now, if you're going to, make a preparation of lobster, like I talked before, where you're going to remove the elbow meat, the claw meat, and the tail meat, and the tamale, and you're going to prepare like maybe a recipe to, re-put the lobster meat that you've caringly sliced back into the head cavity and the tail cavity, with maybe sometimes a little bit of mayo, a little bit of breadcrumbs. You want to bake it a little bit more, that's kind of cool.
Can you also, what do you think of the way, this is what you see chefs do the most, is they're usually slicing, especially grilling, that you'll slice the lobster alive straight down vertically, and then they'll turn it sideways and grill it.
I've seen that. I've done it. It's the worst thing you can do to a lobster.
Okay.
I really don't do that.
Prefer boiling it first, then taking the meat out and grilling it in the shell. That's nice.
I would underboil it. So let's say, like, when we talk about like a 1.5 pound lobster, 11 to 12 minutes to complete cooking. So I'm saying, like, do that 9 minutes instead. That means that your claw meat will not be 100% cooked. Your elbow meat will be, and your tail will be like medium well, right? Mm. So, you can remove all the meat and then put it back into the lobster shell. And you could put that, like we were talking about, in the basket, right? Just put that into the basket and move it from the hot coals to the cold area of your grill, the hot coals to the cold area of it, till you see the butter sizzling inside the shell. Now, be careful. You don't want to burn the lobster shell because it smells bad.
Right.
It's calcium and whatever the shell is made out of. And, many lobsters are ruined because of that shell smell. You don't want that, Yeah. Grilling lobster is tricky. There's nothing better than a boiled lobster, to be honest.
So and so you'll just serve it with the classic potato salad, corn, garlic butter. Are you putting garlic butter on there?
Not really. No, just regular, good quality Quebec salted butter is fine. I like a lobster real plain. Also, I like a bigger lobster,
Yeah. So for you, what would be the ideal lobster size? What are you buying when I know you're buying, you said you're buying females last time.
Yeah. So I like personally a 3 pound lobster for me.
For you alone?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
As opposed to eating 2 small ones. I like to sit down and have the dinner, but just because I like the head cavity meat. I like the meat out of the little legs. And I just find like a 3 pound lobster tastes really delicious. But then I also like this small lobster that's available once or twice a year called canners. Canners are super small. Like, they're under a pound. You'll see them sometimes at the grocery store. They're just like these really small lobsters. In New York, catering jargon, they would call them canners or salad lobsters. Right? These are small lobsters you buy to make salad. They're very, very, very good, but not always available.
Yeah. If you're buying your 3 pound lobster, you're going to a fishmonger. You're not getting that in the supermarket.
Absolutely. The supermarket does a killer job at it, right? Especially.
Oh, you're saying you're buying it at the supermarket as well? Because I've heard from some fishmongers that the supermarket kind of puts those at a low price and everything because they're getting a lot of the small lobsters.
I've seen big lobsters all the time. The thing is the lobsters, the supermarkets aren't really set up to hold lobsters very well, right? So you'll see lobsters now basically at Mother's Day and Father's Day, and at another time during the summer where it's inexpensive. So look at the flyers, watch your flyers, and buy lobster when it's cheap. Because when it's cheap, let's say at IGA, that means IGA purchased from Prince Edward Island a ton of lobsters. Like basically, they sent 5 trucks because it's an operation. They're going to Prince Edward Island, they're picking up lobster, and they're diffusing the lobster into all of the IGA Metro Provigo system at a low price, right? So for me, those are, for the layman, I'm saying the best time to buy lobster. I worry about the fishmongers often because they have like maybe higher tech infrared lobster tanks. And to me, there's nothing grosser than a lobster that's been in a tank for 6 months in Montreal. That's not the point. I'd rather rush to the grocery store when it's on special,
right,
and be there early when they open to get the lobster on special, because that would have been like a big operation from Prince Edward Island or Nova Scotia to
the thing, they're fresher. It hasn't hung around for 6 months in the tank winning,
Yeah, even some restaurants, you'll be in a restaurant, so like does not so much any day, but you'll see it more like in Florida or New York City, like the steakhouse that has a lobster tank. I'm like, no way. There's no way.
That's good advice. I never thought of
I don't know. That lobster, that 5-pound lobster could have been there for 2 years, as far as I'm concerned.
We don't see that much. So I remember being young and just walk. Every second restaurant had a lobster tank, and now they're really rare. I mean, Milos has. I don't even know if they still have one. I mean, they must because they sell so much lobster. But the lobster tank is a thing of the past, I think. I mean, maybe it's time to bring back the lobster tank.
I love a good lobster tank, and there's great technology now. There's this T&T grocery that I've been a big fan of. They do a great job at fish. They have a big aquarium system there. You can buy oysters in the tank, clams in the tank,
Crab,
whelks in the tank, the different live fish in the tank. God, they had Alaskan king crabs the other day, like giant, scary aliens,
like $200 each, very expensive. Yeah,
very delicious, but also very vibrant and alive, right? But then I went and I saw they had this like one poor lingcod floating upside down, half alive, with a big chunk taken out of its back, kind of just like an open wound. And I was like, God, that's gross.
He should have bought it through pity. I mean,
oh God, I wouldn't even touch it with my hands. It was so appalling to look at. And then I went back 2 weeks later, and there it was still swimming upside down with this gash in its back. And I was like, God, this grocery store is so beautiful. Everything is so perfect here.
Except for that lingcod.
It's surgically clean in here. Like, I love the meat counter, the groceries, the everything. I love that grocery store. But God, that fish was wrecking it for me. And it lives rent free in my head now.
Well, go get it. Can't you release it in the St. Lawrence or something?
But there isn't a day that goes by where I'm driving and I'm like, oh my God, I wonder if that fish is still there. And I think I sent someone there the other day. I told my friend Pierre Alexandre, I said, you should go buy T&T. And he goes, oh my God, there was this half-dead lingcod. I was like, good.
I think we should start an Instagram account for the lingcod to see, when you see people who are saving kittens on the side of the road, I think that lingcod.
Where would you release the lingcod?
I don't know. You can't put them in the St. Lawrence?
No, it's a saltwater fish. You'd have to drive to the coast, but even then.
Do what you have to do. If you have to drive to the coast, come on.
But it's not even native to our waters. It's BC fish. You'd have to fly to Vancouver.
Fly it to Vancouver. Not somebody to pick it up on the other side. Come on.
Save the lingcod.
We'll get a GoFundMe together for the lingcod.
Yeah, they have to get it out. I hope it's gone. I was going to go there Friday morning because I'm hoping to get some Dungeness crab for my barbecue. And I'll give you an update. I'll take a picture and you can put it up on the Instagram page if that poor lingcod is still swimming upside down with a gash in its back.
Okay. Well.
So I hope I answered that cooking lobster. Also, when in doubt, Google is amazing.
I want to ask you quickly, just a couple of ideas for people. Let's say you want to whip up a fast barbecue sauce because you don't have that bottle of Kraft barbecue sauce in your fridge. By the way, those barbecue sauces last forever. I don't even know if there's an expiry date on any of them. They just seem to, my mother had some in there for years. Anyway, so quick marinade, or what would you... I have a tendency to do the olive oil, lemon, herbs marinade, which is getting a little tired, but it works. But any ideas?
Yeah, well, miso, honey, tomato paste, soy sauce, a very little roasted sesame seed oil, like just a tiny drop, That works real well. I like as well. This weirder one is basically a little bit of tomato paste, like 1 part tomato paste, 3 parts mustard, a little bit of capers. And again, you don't have to do what I do or listen to what I love anchovies. I love really good anchovies, like a lot. So I tend to overdo it a little bit. Like a lot of my food these days, people are like, "What is this?" It's anchovies.
Your kids like anchovies?
All
Do your kids like anchovies?
I
Uh,
I don't know. I avoid the conversation. I see some like strange looks sometimes, like when I made a simple pasta for my girls, and like Cece, the younger one, will be like, "What? What
mm,
what is this flavor?" Because again, I love crushing a garlic clove into an anchovy with 4 capers, and smushing that with a fork and then tossing like spaghetti with that is really delicious. I make this dressing in the blender, which is heinous. And you should just throw it out when you're done. So don't make much. But basically, like 5 garlic cloves, 1 tablespoon of mustard, 5 tablespoons of olive oil, 10 capers, 2 whole anchovy fillets,
mm.
a 1/4 teaspoon of miso, the juice of a whole lemon, some fresh oregano, flowers crushed with your fingers, sprinkled in there, and then put that in that like either the tube that goes with the hand blender or your blender, right?
Mm.
And and just emulsify that into basically this raw garlic anchovy caper emulsion,
Bomb.
right?
Right.
Which is intense, right? So let's say if you're grilling pork chops or chicken or whatever, at the end when you're getting to the end of that, I just put like I have a good barbecue brush and I'll just brush this raw garlic anchovy mustard
Oh my.
emulsion creation. But God, do I love it.
Mm.
I feel like Julius Caesar, you know?
Like garum.
Yeah, I was. This is probably like how Roman. Like this is the food of a Roman legionnaire, right?
I like that.
This is
This is a
this.
warrior's rub.
Yeah, and it's heinous on your breath.
Oof.
It might keep you up at night,
Right.
right?
Bad gas after that.
Oh, all those things. But when you're eating it, it's so delicious, you know. And it's such an intense garlic thing. I love getting my garlic on once in a while. It's like I feel like my blood work needs it, right? But I have overdone it on multiple occasions and woken up in the middle of the night, like
Fire breath.
fire breath, garlic nightmares.
Yeah, oh
Right?
yeah,
I'm being chased
yeah.
by garlic.
Yeah. I also think when you're gonna have a table like that with all this grilled food and stuff, make a huge bowl of green goddess dressing and just put it in the middle of the table. And then it'll just go away. You put it on meat, you put it on potato salad, you put it on everything in the summer. It's so good.
Did you hear this Jose Andreas omelet hack this week?
Oh no, what did he say?
Oh, it's kind of smart. I haven't done it yet, but I'm aching to do it. I just went into the hen house this morning looking for eggs and there was no eggs. I think my neighbor Pete got them last night. So I'm gonna anyway. So 1 egg, whisked but very well whipped. Whisk
Mhm.
1 egg a lot. Okay. And then add 1 tablespoon of mayonnaise to the whipped egg. Okay.
Hmm.
Incorporate the mayonnaise into the egg. And then take like a little bowl, a small bowl, or even a coffee cup, right? Oil it, put a lot of olive oil in the bottom of the little bowl. Pour your egg mayonnaise mixture in that bowl, and I think it's like 68 seconds or 70 seconds in the microwave.
Okay, I did see this clip. Yeah. And did it look good? And do you stir it while it cooks once?
No, no, you just let it rip for the 70 seconds. But I'm thinking about it, like
I'm gonna try that.
I'm sure it's amazing. Like some of the most peculiar, most delicious food I've ever eaten has been at his hand in his restaurants. Like to the point that I almost like ordered like 3 or 4 of his books this morning.
He's a great chef, though.
He's a very great chef, but he also cooks very delicious food, but
Yeah.
also has very weird methodologies, right? Things are not what they seem.
Right.
They're not born out of the classic vernacular of cooking. He does employ, some of the greatest hits of molecular gastronomy into creating classic food, which is strange, right? So You tell me that like the best omelet he's ever had takes 60 seconds in a microwave and it's with one of my favorite things, mayonnaise. That's kind of cool. I'm listening, you know?
Microwave is such a cool, but anybody who doesn't have a microwave, you're really missing out. Do you have a microwave? Don't tell me you don't have a microwave.
I do.
Yeah, it's a great machine. All these people are like, oh, it's going to kill you. No, it's not. It's a great machine. Also, Jose Andres.
Well, don't cook popcorn in the microwave. That's insane. Like I read a bunch of alarming reports. Like cook popcorn in a pot. It's really easy.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's fun. It's more fun in the pot.
It is. Jose Andres once, I went to his restaurant in Las Vegas and he served a dish in a running shoe.
Yeah, I see you lose me at that a little bit, but I'm also the guy, me and Fred were the guys that served oysters on radios back in the day. So
True. I think it was like croquettes or something. And I'm like, it's really coming. Like, did everybody get the same running shoe? It's like, I don't know. But no, he thinks outside the box. Before we go, one last thing is we talked about barbecuing. We talked about, we should get together sometime, David, and meet the listeners and do like an outdoor barbecue this summer somewhere. Maybe we could get the barbecue shop that you mentioned too.
I'd like to go. I went to that barbecue shop on Sources Boulevard. Forgive me, this is terrible, but a barbecue et compagnie or something. And there's this all black. There's like this stealth matte black Weber grill there.
Mm-hmm. And you want
that I'm probably going to go get on Friday morning. And yeah, that's a cool shop. It'd be cool. I'll reach out to them and see if we could do like a live podcast out of a store, or even Marché de l'Ouest is like super weird. And I like that place. And yeah, let's try and do something. Let's try and do something outside.
Yeah, we'll do something live. It's so beautiful these days here. Finally, after 2 weeks of morbid rain and cold, it finally feels like summer. But another great show. I'm going to barbecue tonight because I wasn't going to, but now I'm all psyched up to try your Roman garlic rub.
Don't keep it, okay? Because it'll ferment and get real weird.
Okay, but I think it'll also put hair on my chest. It sounds like it's the recipe that's actually going to.
I think it cures cold. It cures colds for sure. It's a real true decongestant. Also, by the way, last thing, okay?
Yeah.
If you do go by one of these Chinese grocery stores, okay, my new ultimate favorite thing in the world is this extremely hot mustard powder that they sell there. It'll be in like the wasabi section or whatever. So it'll be in the Japanese section, right? So it's this little yellow tin. I'll send you a picture. So it's a mustard powder that you basically mix with water. And oh my God, it's like a life-changing, hallucinatory, the hottest mustard I've ever had. And it's not wasabi, it's hot mustard. It's like it's that dim sum. You ever have that dim sum hot mustard?
I don't know. I once had a very hot mustard ice cream, and he told me he started with a powder. It was a Japanese chef.
I'll send you a picture of it. It's just, oh my God.
The hot with the cold like that. Ooh, amazing.
Also, it's fun. It's a powder. So when you're making little dressings and vinaigrettes and marinades,
pop it in there.
Yeah, you pop it in there. Or if you're just like deglaze the pan and you want to make a little sauce, you just basically, like you would add pepper to a sauce, you add a little bit of this mustard powder and it's just burning hot and really opens up your sinuses and your lungs.
You could add a pinch of that to the tank and maybe it would bring the lingcod back to life.
Maybe. Poor lingcod.
Or maybe it would just like sting his poor wound. Oh. Okay, look, I'm going to go check out the lingcod. I feel bad.
All right. I'll see you guys we'll talk to you guys next week. Maybe we'll have a guest. Maybe we won't. I'll figure it out. Have a great week, everybody.
Wait, I want to thank our wonderful producer, Dan Delmar of TNKR Media. And I want to remind everybody, it would be great, David, if you got a picture of the lingcod for the Instagram site, but we are on Instagram, Salt Lick Podcast. If you have any questions, we love getting questions, and you can see we give very good answers. It's at saltlickpodcast@gmail.com. And have a great week, David. Good luck with the deer.
Thank you kindly, and have a wonderful week. Bye, everyone.
Take care. Bye.
Think Bait. TNKR Media. Good talk.